The new cradle of future Formula One stars is ready for its second season with new faces, a lightly modified racing car, and a new circuit. The Circuit de la Comunidad Valenciana, Ricardo Tomo. Welcome to Valencia, Spain for the opening round of the GP2 season 2006. I'm Bob Varsha alongside David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. With the new season comes new teams, new drivers, and new championship contenders. So before the season gets underway, let's take a moment to look at the drivers we think will factor into the championship. With the top three finishers in last year's championship graduating to Formula One, the fourth place finisher, Alex Primat, finds himself in a good position this season. Primat returns to the dual championship-winning ART Grand Prix team, with whom in 2005 he scored 2 wins, 7 podium finishes, a pole, and 2 fastest race laps. This past winter, along with Nicolas Lapierre, Alex led Team France to the inaugural A1 GP crown with 7 victories. With a top team and a year of experience behind him, Primat is the clear championship favorite.
Nicolas Lapierre begins his second season with Arden International and will be looking to emulate his 6 wins this past winter in the A1 GP series. Nicolas stood on the podium only once last year, but did manage to score points in 5 rounds with 1 pole and a fast lap.
Now, one of the most outspoken GP2 stars who should factor into the championship is Nelson Piquet Jr. Piquet claimed 5 podium finishes in 2005 and scored his maiden win at Spa, in addition to 2 wins for Team Brazil in the A1 GP series. He feels he cannot make the jump into Formula One without winning the championship this season.
Adam Carroll is another driver to watch in 2006. Last season saw the young Brit take 3 wins and 5 podium finishes. Carroll is lightning fast, but is prone to mistakes. If he can keep all 4 wheels on the asphalt, he may be able to steal the title.
But there are many dark horses in the field as well. Look for Jose Maria Lopez to stand on several podiums and take a win or 2. Former Formula One drivers Jimmy Bruni and Timo Glock should be quick. However, with Bruni driving for a brand new team and Glock being new to the series, wins may be out of the question. Finally, look for Lewis Hamilton to shake things up. His young Brit has been backed by the McLaren Mercedes Formula One team for years and has won in everything he's driven. Last year, he dominated the F3 Euro Series, and 2006 sees him driving last year's championship-winning car. Hamilton should score many podium finishes, and victories are not out of the question. Look for his performances to play a major role in both the team and drivers' championships. And in case you're wondering, the 3 stars from last year who moved on to Formula One, Nico Rosberg, Heikki Kovalainen, and America's own Scott Speed. Rosberg and Speed, of course, racing in Formula One, while Heikki Kovalainen is testing for the world champions from Renault and is no doubt a star of the future. What other future stars might come out of this year's championship? That's the story yet to be told. We'll take a break and return to set the grid for the opening round of the GP2 series in 2006. Stay with us. Back to Valencia, Spain, as the crews clear the grid for the start of the opening race of the second season of the GP2. There's your pole sitter, Nelson Piquet Jr., the best starting position he has ever had. And he will lead the field away. In the background, you see young Frenchman Tristan Gomandi, a newcomer to the series. For Piquet, he has gone on record as saying he must win the championship this year to have any hope of a Formula One career. Talk about putting pressure on yourself. Good crowd on hand, a fairly cool day. The cars are rolling off. And with that, let's take a look at the first starting grid of the 06 season. On the pole, Piquet Jr., second-generation racer from Brazil with Piquet Sports, alongside Tristan Gomandi of France with iSport International.
Row 2, Lewis Hamilton, the amazing Brit Formula 3 Euro champion last year, stepping into Nico Rosberg's seat at ART Grand Prix Racing. And alongside him, Adrian Valles in the Campos Racing, their best ever grid position in GP2.
There you see a stalled car on the grid. That's Timo Glock. On row 3, Ernesto Vizo, veteran of the series from Venezuela with iSport International. Alongside him, Argentine Jose Maria Lopez with Supernova.
Michael Ammermüller fills spot 7 from Germany with the Arden International team. He's a young up-and-coming Formula 3 driver. Alongside him, Felix Portiero from Spain in the second Campos Racing, giving their best ever grid positions.
On row 5, Alex Primat From ART Grand Prix, the Frenchman, a preseason favorite, he starts next to Formula One veteran Gianmaria Bruni of Italy with Trident Racing.
On row 6, Alexander Negrão in the second of the PK sports car. He's also from Brazil. Didn't have a great season last year, maybe better this year. Alongside him, Frank Pereira from France in the first of the Dams cars.
On row 7, Adam Carroll for Racing Engineering, and Andreas Zuber from Austria with Trident Racing.
Row 8 is all Dave Price Racing. Olivier Plard had 2 wins last year in the sprint races, and alongside him, Clivio Piccioni from Monte Carlo.
On row 9, Ferdinando Monfardini of Italy with Dams, alongside Japanese rock and roll band frontman Hiroki Hashimoto, returning for his second season of GP2 with BCM.
19th spot, Luca Filippi from Italy in the FMS International team, alongside Lucas Di Grassi from Brazil in the first of the Durango cars.
Back on row 11, Nicolas Lapierre, one of the stars of the series last year from Arden International. Surprised to see him that far back, but right next to him, another series veteran, Farouz Fauzi of Supernova.
In 23rd spot, Timo Glock, who we already saw has stalled. He scored points in his first ever GP in 2004. Last year he did Champ Car, now he's back to GP2. Alongside him, Sergio Hernandez from Spain in the second Durango car.
And on the 13th and final row, Javier Villa of Spain with Racing Engineering, and Jason Tahinci from Turkey with FMS International. Field coming around to take up their positions on the grid. We're going to take another break, and we'll be back for the start of the featured race in the opening round of the GP2 Championship for 2006, exclusively here on Speed. Welcome back to the opening round of the GP2 Championship for 2006. With Steve Matchett, David Hobbs, I'm Bob Varsha. There's Nelson Piquet Jr. from pole. There's Formula One great Alain Prost, looking cool, calm, and relaxed. Why not? He hasn't got a dog in this fight.
Exactly right. He hasn't got to worry about it at all.
Now we've got a yellow flag, a space at the back of the grid, and that is for Jason Tahinci, the newcomer from Turkey, who has gone to the pit lane for his start. Now we have a green at the back, the lights are on, and here we go with the opening race of the 2006 championship. Good start for the pole sitter, Piquet Jr. Look at them all over the track from curb to curb.
Boy, Lewis Hamilton, who was right behind Piquet, has now dropped back to about 9th there in the middle of the pack.
And someone did not get away from the grid.
It was a very quick release from the lights, wasn't it? And all of a sudden, the driver's lurching down to that first corner. But you're right, Bob, somebody stalled at the back.
Ooh, tire smoke everywhere, and there's contact. Someone got turned sideways, but continues.
And look already how tight this Valencia track is to the Formula One tracks that these guys were using last year. This is the first time these boys have been at Valencia, but boy, oh boy, it's a narrow, winding track.
Adrian Vaez up into second place. Frenchman Tristan Gomedy drops to third. Terrible start for Lewis Hamilton. You're right, David. He is back in 7th place.
Cars all fanning out as they go through this very twisty track. As we always said, it's very difficult to overtake on here. But here goes somebody down the outside, wheel to wheel there.
These guys are not afraid to mix it up in the style of young, aspiring racers everywhere.
This is Adam Carroll we're on board with now.
Now, the first thing you notice about GP2 in 2006 are those front tires. No grooves. Yeah. Slick Bridgestones, the way we were used to in Formula One years ago.
So drivers who drove in this series last year, that's something else they've got to get used to. Brand new circuit for them. This one, of course, some brand new tires as well, with a couple of other rule changes as well.
There's a few technical changes to the cars we'll get into throughout the show, but yeah, those slick tires, that's the big change, really.
Cars remain powered by 4-liter Renault engines prepared by Mechachrome.
So at the end of the first lap, we got Piquet, Baez, Gomendi, Viso, Primat, Lopez, Hamilton. Primat making a great run through the field. Hamilton not so lucky, and Bruni in 8th.
There's Javier Villa, the young Spaniard with Racing Engineering from the Asturias region, racing in front of his home fan. What a brutal start for him.
The Formula One teams do use Valencia and use it for testing because of the tight, winding nature for tracks such as Monaco and Imola.
Nicolas Lapierre had a great first lap, starting 21st, up to 10th at the end of the first lap, so 14th, so you can't complain at that.
I should point out this Valencia circuit is being mentioned as a potential Formula One venue in the future. have to do some work on it.
They need to add a few. They need to add what, 3/4 of a mile or so to make it up to GP length standards.
It's short. It's 2.489, so just a fraction under 2.5 miles. 45 laps in this race.
Board with Adam Carroll once again. Bruce Fauzi on the road ahead of him. Oh, someone's off. Clivio Piccioni in one of the David Price cars. Doesn't look like he's done too much damage.
It looks like he's going to be well and truly stuck in that gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming out of the car. Yeah, but yeah, you're right, Bob. No damage to the car. Or certainly not a lot of damage to the car. Wings on and corners on. Meanwhile,
look at this battle. Wow. Sandy Negrão. Young German Ammermuller moving up. Gianmarino Bruni in that mix. Now what happened here? That's Gomedy. That's Tristan Gomedy, the Frenchman, who started on the front row in his GP2 debut.
And he was up to third spot. He was running in a solid third spot, so that's very disappointing for him. Must be some sort of technical issue.
That's the iSport team. That's the team Scott Speed raced with last year in GP2. That will boost Ammermuller up into 8th place, one behind where he started.
And this is Nicolas Lapierre, I think, in the number 4 car. Nicolas Lapierre, of course, has had a busy winter racing, so in the A1 GP series. So he's had a lot of racing experience right through the winter series, which the other people haven't. Obviously got some testing in there, but racing, you can't beat that for experience, and he's making it pay now. Qualified very poorly for him, but hoping to make it to the front and working away at those other drivers. Of course, he is definitely a potential championship leader this year.
Look at Piquet Jr. out in front by about 2.5 seconds over Baez, Ernesto Vizo, ahead of Primat, Lopez, Hamilton, and Bruni.
And they start to bunch up at about from P3. Let's have another look at the start. There's Piquet Jr. on the left of the screen there, getting away, but there's all the melee behind. Hamilton just awful start getting away off the line.
But Primat made a good start, and he's almost up with him there. You see them tangling wheels as they go through that turn one, side by side there. A bit of nudging going on. Somebody ran to the back of one of the other cars, just nudged it with the wing. Look, woo!
Yeah, it's very tight. Look down to that corner. A lot of brake smoke being thrown out of these front rims. Oh, contact as well.
Yeah.
But remember, no launch control, just like in Formula One, no launch control on the cars.
On board with Hamilton now. Once again, the start. And look at the positions he loses. I mean, this Lewis Hamilton is a young star, and everybody is touting this guy as a future superstar.
And of course, he is very much a protege. Oh, that's...
Whoops. Piccioni in the back of Sergio Hernandez in the Durango car.
And that's what put him out then.
Yeah.
Just that little bit of contact, but just managed to stop before the tyre barrier, which the mechanics will be very pleased about for the next race.
It's Hamilton just behind Lopez for 5th.
Lewis Hamilton's won just about everything he's been in, and of course, as a protege of Ron Dennis and the McLaren Mercedes team, they've got their eye on some money in this young lad. He's having a look down the inside and going to turn one, couldn't make it.
Another visual difference you'll notice on this year's car, the 2006 spec car, again all made by Dallara. They're down to twin elements on the rear wing, where they would really love to have that third element and a little bit more downforce on the car. We're on board with Hamilton now, and you can see those rear wings. They're really too small for around here. The feeling was from the organisers, we're going to give the guys slick tyres and they're going to gain grip from that. So what we're going to do is take some wing off the car as well. Take aerodynamic grip away and mechanical grip. We're going to give them a little bit more.
As you can see, it's paddle shifters, sequential boxes like the Formula One cars. The cars dimensionally are very similar to Formula One machinery.
Yeah, that was the idea from the outset, Bob, wasn't it? I think to generate a junior series to the exact same dimensions as far as possible to replicate what a Formula One car will react like and look like in the hands of these junior drivers. But bigger engines, actually, curiously enough, than the 2.4-litre V8s in the F1 cars. These are 4-litre engines built by Mechachrome for Renault.
Obviously got plenty of grunt. In fact, talking about grunt, while we were on board there with Lewis Hamilton, Nelson Piquet set the fastest lap of the race. A 1:22.563, which of course gives him another point.
And that's a change from last year. Last year it was 2 points. This year it is 1. And they have closed a loophole in the rules whereby you could pick up a point even if you weren't running at the front by heading for the pits, putting on fresh tires, finding a clear lap, and picking up a cheap point. This year you have to have started from the grid to pick up the point. There's Sergio Hernandez being wheeled back in. He had that contact with Piccioni earlier. Apparently, it was fatal.
Pretty much starting to back Jimmy Bruni, who we saw quite a bit of last year.
He was jumping from team to team in GP2.
Absolutely,
Finally, he got into litigation with one of his teams, said, the heck with it, I'll start my own. And that's what he and his manager did. On board with Adam Carroll, still chasing Farouz Fauzi. This is 15th and 16th, and that's not where Adam Carroll is used to be.
Certainly is not where Fauzi is no doubt holding him up, because he's the only guy to have completed every round last year and not scored any points at all. So Fauzi not one of our superstars that we're looking to go into Formula 1.
Well, the grip from the tyres just seemed quite impressive, I must say, though. I don't know what you think, but already around this tight winding track, for saying that they're running so little wing on the cars, the things are actually gripping pretty well.
Well, of course, those slick tyres do give you much superior grip. Look at the lead that Piquet's got now. Of course, he's got the opportunity to make some fast laps before he starts catching up with the back marker. So certainly things going very well for Nelson Piquet Jr.
So look at your running order. Nobody has stopped among the front runners. Of course, motor racing, like so many other sports, is a pyramid that comes to the top. You have drivers coming from karting, from Formula 3 and so forth, all meeting in a series like this, hoping to make the next step to Formula 1.
Carroll going down the outside. Whoop.
Ooh, man, he was sideways.
Well, he could have had him in fours. He lost a lot of momentum there. He got it sideways, but Adam Carroll couldn't really capitulate on it, rather sort of couldn't get by him there.
And meanwhile, they are losing ground. Hiroshi Yoshimoto was ahead of this battle by just a couple of car lengths. As you see, he is now gone. So Fauzi is holding up Carroll, driving the mirrors. And Adam Carroll's going to have to get by soon if he hopes to move up. Just a few laps into the opening round of the GP2 series for 2006. We'll be back with more here on Speed in just a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back to the GP2 season opener from Valencia. I'm Bob Barsha with David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. This is Lewis Hamilton trying to go around the outside of Jose Maria Lopez and getting bounced up onto the curbs for his trouble.
Boy, it nearly worked, though. That was a pretty brave move.
Adam Carroll and his battle with Farouz Fauzi. Well, that right front tire looking a little bit. Pit stops now begin. This is Hamilton for ART.
Well, he's hoping to pick up some track position there, get himself some open road.
Nicolas Lapierre also pitting. A pit stop is required in this feature event. The weekend concludes with a sprint event in which drivers do not pit. In fact, if you do, you're toast. As Lapierre making his way back out in the Arden car. Hamilton rejoins in 8th place.
Of course, these guys are learning how the tire wear is reacting with the cars. So early in this season around Valencia, you're going to get a lot of scrub and a lot of wear on the tires anyway.
Oops, we got another car. This is Felix Portero.
Campos Racing pulling off.
Mechanical failure of some sort. No smoke.
No.
Just lost drive.
But these guys making the early pit stops, I'm wondering whether or not they're gambling on trying to get a good track position and trying to avoid that rush when everybody comes in. Because remember, if everybody's using the same spec tyres, which they are, of course, here comes Prematt into the pits. Yeah.
Prematt has got to be our favourite for the year, really. He did very well last year. The ART Grand Prix team, very, very good last year. Obviously, Nico Rosberg moved up to Formula 1. Prematt obviously wants to win this championship, but so does his new teammate, Lewis Hamilton. Quick stop there.
And only the rear tyres change. Front tyres remain on the car, so they're only changing the rear tyres.
One of the principals in the ART Grand Prix team is Nicolas Todt, son of Ferrari principal Jean Todt, and a driver manager of some note. Prematt looks like we will come right out into a nice open piece of racetrack in 13th position.
Right.
Luca Filippi coming up behind.
Sorry, Bob. I was just going to say, Bridgestone produce 3 different specs, compounds of tyres for each event, and they will bring those 3 hard, medium, and soft compound to each event. But it is Bridgestone's decision, not the teams, which of those 3 compounds they will run, and all the teams have to run the same compound. So I think now the teams are sort of gauging, track position over tyre wear, what is it best to do? Stop out and do a few more laps, come in early and change tyres. They're going to be learning how fast these tyres start to degrade as well, as we were hinting at earlier on, especially around a track around here. It's so winding that I'm sure they're getting a lot of lateral movement on these tyres and a lot of wear as a result of that too.
It's Tristan Gomedy. He started from the front row, but his race ended early. Meanwhile, here comes his teammate, Ernesto Vizo.
Again, only the rear tyres. The fronts remain in place.
So Ernesto Vizo, a veteran of this series, did it all last year. Another relatively quick stop.
It's difficult for us watching the race unfold to gauge the tyre wear. Of course, thinking back to the grooves on the tyres, it's much easier to have a visual indication of how the tyres are wearing because you can see the grooves wearing down. But
oh, Vizo comes back, but Hamilton is ahead of him, so the young Brit picks up some spots.
we can see the degradation on the tyres easy enough, can't we? We can see the blisters and that sort of thing, but just general wear on the tyres. For the teams, they do have little wear indication marks on the tyres, little holes, if you like, cast into the rubber. But from the outside, it's very difficult to see how those tyres are wearing.
On board, Lewis Hamilton in replay. Pushing hard. Is he going to lock up here? Yes, he does. That left front.
Yeah, you can see the flat spot on there because it's so much easier to see those flat spots on these slick tyres.
Slicks.
Adam Carroll and Firuz Fauzi continue their little battle, but that's for 9th place now with cars ahead of them making their stops, and Carroll still cannot get by the Malaysian.
I would have thought it would have been a pretty good idea for them to stop Adam Carroll at this stage.
Yes.
To get away from Fauzi. Obviously can't get around him.
No, Carroll keeps looking around the outside and trying to get around the outside, but you've got to think after trying that 2-3 times, it ain't going to work, is it?
It's not working. Let's do something else.
Yeah.
There's Luca Filippi holding him up. And Hamilton getting frustrated now like Adam Carroll.
Hamilton touted as perhaps the Tiger Woods of Grand Prix racing. He is black, very talented, with a big career ahead of him.
Well, if he has a career equal to Tiger Woods, he's got nothing to complain about.
That's a good point. Making Michael money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with you guys. They've got to get Adam Carroll out of there and try to get ahead on the pit stops.
I don't know why he doesn't stop, for God's sake. It's just crazy. He's just losing so much time. He's probably losing a second and a half a lap here.
Well, we saw it last year often. They're going to touch.
Oh, they did touch. They did touch. You're right.
Yeah. Carroll just could not wait
still
it
not
over.
by him.
Oh, go on. Don't let him pass.
Left-hander coming up. Carroll's got the line.
He's got him. He's got him, yeah.
The track is mainly left-hand corners. I was about to say, we see it over and over. For many of these teams, they're learning their way. They're learning how to use safety car periods, learning pit strategy.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Bob. Certainly I am so used to watching a Formula One race and again thinking you should do this, why didn't they do that? And you're right, these guys are learning the trade.
But you watch now, old Adam Carroll, now he's got by him. He's absolutely going to bollock off into the distance. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he just...
Yeah.
But then, of course... and there's his teammate Javier Villa now stop Fauzi again.
Let's have another look at it.
Yeah.
Fauzi ahead, Carroll behind.
Touch the chrome horn coming up. Not yet.
It's just there, yeah.
Boy, doing it with your front wing is dangerous. And now Fauzi pits. Thank you very much, says Adam Carroll.
He'll probably pull out just in front of Carroll.
Again, only the rear tyres. No traction control on these cars, of course.
And of course, with all these tight corners here, the rears are going to take a bit of a pounding.
Absolutely.
Accelerating a lot.
Yeah.
Watching the battle for third now. Lopez, Bruni, and the young German Ammermuller.
I think Ammermuller is one of these guys that we're going to hear a bit about too. He's been very successful in all the classes that he's raced in and jumped into these GP2 cars, looking pretty racy at the moment.
That gets a little redundant, doesn't it, at this level? Most of these guys have been successful at what they did previously. PK is in. The race leader is in the pits with his eponymously named team. PK developing a bit of a reputation for a hot temper. He threw a few helmets last year. Having said that, he had an enormously frustrating season. He felt he should be up there racing with Kovalainen and Speed and Nico Rosberg, and he just never had a chance. Again, as his team learned the craft.
But Nico Rosberg is certainly proving to be the real deal.
He rejoins in 6th place. But the cars ahead of him have yet to stop. So the second generation racer is now the highest ranking of the cars that have pitted, setting a brilliant pace. So Valles moves to the lead in front of his home fans. We'll be back in a moment with more of the GP2 opener from Valencia. Welcome back to the Ricardo Tormos circuit in Valencia. The opening round of the GP2 series for 2006 here on Speed with David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. I'm Bob Varsha. Watching Luca Filippi, Andreas Zuber, and Nicolas Lapierre battling over 10th and 11th places. As you see, the race leader is Valles, Adrian Valles with Campos Racing. His teammate suffered a mechanical failure, so no doubt the young Spaniard is thinking about that as he leads here in front of his home fans.
Yeah, they've made quite a lot of modifications over the winter to these cars for reliability. If you think back to last year at the start of the season, at the very start of the season, they had a huge amount of problems with the clutch failure, gearbox fail, and cooling problems as well with the radiators and the oil cooler. All of that has been redesigned. They've got new oil coolers on, new radiators, mountings, new transmission built into the car. Anything to try and get these things reliable.
This is Jose Maria Lopez with Supernova. He picked up a win last year. In fact, you're right, Steve. Remember the season opener in Imola? They had so many problems with clutches. They went to a rolling start.
Absolutely, had to go to that rolling start, yeah. And talking about, Bob, we were thinking earlier on about the teams learning the trade. Boy, those mechanics have got to slow down and calm down when they're putting those wheels on. It's so tempting to rush and push and get that wheel nut done up as fast as possible. But if the wheel itself is not located correctly on the pegs, you ain't going anywhere.
Sandy Negrão also rejoining behind Jose Maria Lopez. Ooh, that was close. That's Frank Pereira in the DMS car. The Frenchman is doing some testing for Toyota, as many of these young drivers will. You can be sure the Formula One team managers are tuning in to look for young driving talent. Luca Filippi is now holding up Jose Maria Lopez, Ernesto Vizo, and Jimmy Bruni.
Well, you're right about the F1 guys watching this, Bob. If they weren't paying much interest before, having found Nico Rosberg, they'll all be watching now that no one's going to let that slip past them again. Here we go. Ah, front tyres being changed. Nice and steady. With the right rear. No, 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 no! There it was again. There's a problem on that right rear. We're just talking about that. You've got to calm down.
Ernesto Vizo with a problem. Jimmy Bruni gets by.
Rookie mistake there. They just lifted the brakes on board up too early. You could see that the right rear guy had a problem.
Oh. Has he got a problem? Well, we got a slow car on the front straightaway. I was watching Lapierre.
Yeah, just Lapierre's got to get going here because this is a guy who's got a lot to prove this year.
It was Luca Filippi slowing down. Boy, that almost caused a huge accident. And there's Filippi. End of story.
O-U-T.
I'm wondering about Ammermuller, though. After that wild pit stop, you'll notice none of the crew in the pits wearing fire suits. That's because they do not refuel. Here comes Valles, the race leader. I like that use of the Spanish colors on the nose of the car. It makes it easy to pick him out.
The Spanish commentator in the background going hysterical as he is.
Racing for a Spanish team with local sponsorship, you saw, Valenciana.
Well, Adrian Valles' fourth grid spot was the best the Spaniards had in GP2 or Formula 3000 since some guy called Alonso was on the pole at Spa in 2000.
Yeah.
Have you heard of him?
Yes. So with Valles pitting, Olivier Pla now takes over the lead. Valles rejoins in sixth. Pla still has a pit stop ahead of him. Piquet has pitted, and he is second. Adam Carroll has not pitted. He runs third. Then Primat, Hamilton, and Valles. There's Giancarlo Fisichella, a car owner, and his career in that position has gotten off to a brutal start. Both of his cars are now out of the race.
Boy, that's a lot of work for Fisichella, isn't it?
Oh, God, why would you want to get GP2 team and GP2 and
We see it more and more often. I mean, Kimi Räikkönen has a team in British Formula 3. Well, that's Adam Carroll holding up Alex Premat. Carroll desperately needs that pit stop now to get fresh rubber on the car.
Yeah, because he's losing time. He was losing all that time before behind Fawzi. Now there you see he's running third, but he's got to make that stop, which is going to put him back to probably 8th or 9th or 10th at least.
There's a look at Olivier Pla. Second year with the David Price team for the Frenchman.
Had a couple of wins last year in the sprint races where he came 8th twice and started from the pole and won those races from pole, one of them being in the race at Silverstone supporting the British Grand Prix.
Remember, Olivier Pla started 15th. This is Manfredini in the Dams car. Oh, man. Look at the gravel. Oh.
That'll be lovely.
Oh, all the drivers
man on the scene.
Thanking him. Back to Zuber and Lapierre for 7th place. Lapierre started 21st. Zuber 14th. They've been trading that point for fast lap. See Carroll with just a half second on Premat in the battle for 3rd. There's a look at your top 4. We've got another break coming, and we'll be back. Approaching the halfway point here in the GP2 season opener.
Wednesday night on Speed. Pigs. Lose the race, lose your ride.
Okay, let's go!
This ain't your mama's minivan.
I want to see what that van can do.
When this round pound
Tormo circuit in Valencia, the opening round of the GP2 championship. You'll see all season long here on Speed with David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. I'm Bob Varsha. Race leader Olivier Pla pitted while we were in break. So now Adam Carroll is the only car among the top 8 that has not pitted. Meanwhile, Nelson Piquet Jr. has picked up the lead. Carroll heads for his mandatory stop. And the ART teammates
are duking it out, to say the very least. Hamilton's made a couple of goes to get around Premat. Premat again was racing the A1 GP series in the winter, so he's had a bit of practice at racing. That's a new derivation of lollipop.
Yeah, they're using the front jack as the lollipop there, but Carroll just left that pit stop way too late. The tyres must be absolutely rooted.
Shot.
balked for so long early on.
Yes.
That's when he should have stopped. When he'd get around Fawzi, and he'd probably be finding himself now in the top 5.
Little tear off coming off, but yeah, driving behind Fawzi and losing the effect of the front wing, of course, losing downforce off there and the front tyres wearing. Yeah. That was the time, you're right, Dave, that was the time to bring him in.
Premat and Carroll. Excuse me, Hamilton.
Two teammates. I think these two white cars you're going to see a lot of in 2006. Premat, of course, a very strong runner last year. Hamilton, of course. Lewis Hamilton not been in the series at all before, but looking pretty racy at the moment. If he hadn't made that terrible start, he could easily be right up there with Nelson Piquet Jr. duke it out for the lead.
It's interesting. This team really leapt from the pack last year. And there's your race leader, Nelson Piquet Jr. Check the running order. Zuber up into 5th after the stop. But ART Grand Prix just came forward, and at the end of the year, Premat and teammate Nico Rosberg, the eventual series champion, were just bulletproof in a series in which the cars are basically spec up and down the pit lane.
Yes, absolutely.
Hammer, Mueller, and Lapierre battling over 10.
Woo! Well, that is what you call wheel-to-wheel racing.
Javier Villa. Getting all my Spaniards mixed up here. That's one of the racing engineering cars. One of the teams that has filed an application to be a part of the Formula One World Championship in 2008.
Yeah, you were talking about the ART team coming on. Of course, Heikki Kovalainen in the iSport car looked like he was going to absolutely run away with the series up to about the midpoint. And then suddenly Nico Rosberg and ART just came to life big time. And here they are running in 2nd and 3rd. Hamilton's still looking for a way past his teammate. Not going to be easy around here.
No. But it really made you wonder what ART found, because they suddenly, it was like a light switch. You know, they went from average and competitive to dominating.
Absolutely incredible. And of course, the other key driver was Scott Speed in the second of the iSport cars. who was leading the championship for some time and has had the best practice at qualifying of the whole year, but never actually won a race.
You see the back of the Packers, including Timo Glock, the only driver in the field with a Formula One point. There's Nicholas Todt on the left, son of Jean Todt, manager of Felipe Massa. I bet a lot of folks wondered whether Todt wandered down to Daddy's shop in Maranello and used a little of that engineering talent to get these cars figured out.
But of course, and Jean Todt not very happy with Felipe Massa at the moment, so that could be a father and son. I'm sorry, son, I'm going to have to fire your man. Dad, you can't do that. I need the money.
That'll be some interesting dinner table conversation.
Yeah, it will.
Oh, by the way, Dad, I'm picking up dinner, in case you were wondering.
Well, I'm glad you're doing that, because you're about to lose all your income, because Felipe Massa's going to be on the old Scrappo Hippo.
Meanwhile, another second-generation racing personality, Nelson Piquet Jr., has this field by the throat. Oh, what happened to the back? Somebody went off.
There's a cloud of dust, yeah, onto the left-hand side of the screen. You just see it behind the pylon.
Oh, Zuber from 5th place.
Switch it off, son. It is game over.
Oh.
You ain't getting out of there.
No, you might as well get out now, son.
Oh, the Austrian.
My son.
Carrying Gilles Villeneuve's old number.
We're going to have another look at it.
He's just
wide.
Ooh,
Oh!
Ooh.
Oh, no!
Oh, look at that damage to the left front.
Boy, oh, boy.
Well,
that was a little ungracious, wasn't it?
Well, they were pretty much alongside each other. It was a bit ungracious, but on the other hand,
yeah,
he wanted to get...
Oof. Oh, no, this is Adam Carroll and Timo Glock. Oh, Carroll just cannot buy a break in this race.
You've got to be careful what you say about Timo Glock, otherwise you'll pull out one of those handguns and blast.
We'll take a break, and boy, we need one. Stick around. Welcome back to the GP2 season opener from Valencia. This is Adam Carroll passing Timo Glock for 15th in replay. The running order is Nelson Piquet Jr., Alex Premat, Lewis Hamilton, Adrian Baez, and Nicolas Lapierre.
And there's the lead, you see. Obviously, a huge lead that Piquet has got over the two racing ART Grand Prix cars. 13 seconds between them. Here comes Premat and Hamilton down to the first corner. Hamilton still really giving his teammate a hard time.
Now the points to be awarded today, in fact, identical to the Formula One system. 10 for first, then 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But perhaps more important to these drivers, who is off? That's Premat, second place runner. Did he contact with his teammate, or perhaps paid too little attention to the road ahead and more to the mirrors?
That's probably it. Under pressure, that's what someone like Lewis Hamilton's doing a good job at, really pressuring him.
Rueful shake of the head from an engineer on the ART Grand Prix pit wall. The point I was going to make is the top 8 from today's finish results will be inverted.
Here we go.
To form the starting grid for Sunday's second race.
He did it all himself.
He did it all himself. In fact, Lewis Hamilton at that particular stage was just a little bit back, but because he just left his braking far too late.
The left front tyre has started to degrade. There's a big blister on the left front tyre, so he started to lose grip from that. And but yeah, he did that all himself, but I think he just pushed the car too much and just sliding around too much on those front tyres behind the car ahead of him, of course, you just lose the efficiency of the front wing.
And of course they haven't changed their front tyres, so those tyres have got a lot of miles under the belt now.
Good point, David.
Another skill a racing driver has to learn is to keep the car and particularly the tires under you.
Yeah.
Bon point. Now it's going to be a thing here. Is Hamilton going to be able to pick up some time on Nelson Piquet? That would be very telling if he manages to pull him in a bit. There is Premat, carrying number 1 for the year.
Earlier on, we were talking about the change to the rear wing configuration on the car, and there is no change to the front wing. However, to gain the balance, the aerodynamic balance over the car, if you take away wing off the rear, you have to take away wing off the front, because you just end up with an undrivable car. So the regulations have kind of forced the teams to play around with the front downforce as well.
There's Hamilton now in second place.
So he's got
a brutal start.
So he's got some open track in front of him. Maybe he'll be able to set the fastest lap at this stage, but his front tyres are probably not up to setting fastest lap right now.
Look at the left front, right in the centre of the contact area, right in the middle of the tyre contact patch. There's a dark stripe starting to appear, I think. And again, all these cars should be starting to suffer exactly the same. They're all running the same compound and construction of Bridgestone.
And of course the cars are all very much the same, you know, limited to what you can do to these cars.
I guess the teams have figured out in testing that you gain more grip off those front tyres the more laps you put on them, and so they're reluctant to change. If you remember a couple of years ago, we saw exactly the same thing in Formula One.
Carroll and Degrassi for 14th.
The downside of doing that, guys, if you just pointed out, you leave those tyres on, you don't change them in the pit stops, you're going to run out of grip at the end of the race, and that's exactly what we're seeing now in these closing laps of the race.
Because if you're going to change the rear tyres anyway, not the front, so the rear tyres start to degrade, it puts even more load on the front. So later on in the race, you just lose out all round.
Yeah.
Those colors on Lucas Degrassi's car may look familiar, particularly the blue and yellow of Renault. That's because he is a Renault junior driver.
There's a car sliding around there. As you're saying, that lateral load onto those tyres. No traction control to help with that lateral load. And the driver's so keen to get on the throttle when they come out of these low-speed corners. They just start to slide as you put the power onto them.
13 laps to go around this 2.5-mile racetrack.
A lot of brake dust coming out of the front rims.
On board with Carroll. Is he going to lock one up?
Oh,
and he never got it turning. Ooh, boy, that'll torch that left front Bridgestone.
That was a nice lockup.
And also in replay, well, this is Adrian Valles and the Campos machine.
Campos cars with these two new drivers going far better than they've ever gone before. Carroll got underneath the Degrassi there, and a nice move.
Fans of Formula One will remember Adrian Campos, Spanish Formula One driver, who's now a car owner. Hoping to take his team back to the world pinnacle of motorsport.
Beautiful day, isn't it? I was thinking one of the big attractions for the Formula One teams in the winter testing season is that they get so much good weather down there, right in the south of Spain.
It's a beautiful part of Spain in Valencia.
And unlike Barcelona, which can be cold in the winter, and of course get all that the rain and the wind blowing in off the coast there, down in the south, you usually get some very good track time. Oh, look at the car sliding!
That's Fauzi, who had that earlier battle with Carroll.
Driving a magnificent 17th spot.
Javier Villa chasing him. The legend is that if you're a fan of the wonderful Spanish national dish, paella, in order to get the true experience, it must be prepared by a gentleman from Valencia.
Valencia is the sort of name that you'd think you could write a song about.
What sort of song would that be, Dave?
You have a lyric in mind? On board?
Yeah.
With,
Yes,
this is Adam Carroll.
No singing allowed on the set. I'll see why now.
I have to pay a lot of money for those rights. That was a replay of the pass on Degrassi for 14th. Oh, what do you know?
Well, that's
a fairly
replay of the
fairly routine pass for Adam Carroll. He doesn't see those very often. There you go, establishing the inside position.
Yeah.
Degrassi gave him room.
And that's the way to do it. You can't afford to be in the wake of the car ahead for too long. You've got to just get in close and make the move and clear up the flow of that front wing as soon as possible.
This is Lopez, Bruni, and Lapierre all disputing 6th place.
Points down to 8, so these are important places to make up at this early stage in the season.
Look how the rims are discoloured on the front of the car now. The rear of the rims still quite light coloured with the paint, but the front, look, right there, all black, jet black now with the dust being thrown off these brakes.
Well, this track is very tough on brakes. That turn 1 is a real storm, and so is turn 2.
Just like a glow coming off these front brakes as well now. Again, the brakes have been redesigned for this season from 2005 to 2006. New monoblock calipers made and different bells designed just for the carbon discs on the cars.
The ART boys, well, their job is done. It's got 1 pit stop, or 2, counting both drivers. Hamilton getting caught up here?
Yeah, Premat that was.
Yeah. Oh, is it Premat being chased by...
Who is being chased very hard by Lapierre. Yeah. These two guys had a lot of duking out last year and, of course, last winter. And
Hey, I was about to say, had a Premat get back to 4th. There he is demoted to 5th. It's still not a bad comeback.
Well,
after
we
that
saw
big
him go
off.
off there. It may be that he had a problem with his brakes, or he's got a problem with the brakes or that front tyre that Steve has been watching. And it could be that he's just lost a bit of grip. And
the front end's going away.
yeah, front end's going away.
Yeah.
Check the order once again. Piquet with things well in hand. Ammermuller, I should say, back in 8th now.
Which, of course, is a great place to be if the checkered flag should fall, because that will give him the pole position for the short race.
Right.
The sprint race.
The sprint race, yeah.
Which is how Olivier Pla, one of Dave Price Racing guys, won 2 races last year.
Familiar colors of Red Bull energy drink, which would quickly become a major sponsor of any number of forms of motorsport, headed for NASCAR in the near future with Toyota, and a big sponsor of Michael Ammermuller. Much the same way that they backed Scott Speed, and continue to do so. Look down the inside. No, not close enough. Pretty good little battle right here.
A very good battle. Tactical. Obviously, everybody's tyres starting to give up, brakes starting to give up, drivers starting to give up in the heat there. With this very physical track. A lot of effort goes into driving these cars.
They're all...
Premat is off again.
So I was just going to say they're all starting to understeer now. They're all having problems with the front tyres.
And that is going to drop him out of the points, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that the same corner? Is that the same corner he went off before?
Rueful smile from Nicholas Todt. That's not what we expect. It'll be interesting to see how things develop as these young drivers learn to handle these tires. This is, after all, the opening race of the season, and it's a long one. We'll be back. Back at the Tormos circuit in Valencia. Half dozen laps remain in the opening round of the GP2 championship for 2006 here on Speed. Nelson Piquet Jr. has been pretty much in control of this race from pole position. Lewis Hamilton running in 2nd. Adrian Baez in 3rd.
And this is Monfordini and Viso in the Dams cars having a go. They're down in like 14th.
See the runners at the back.
The guys are very reluctant to put too much lock onto the car now, aren't they? Coming out of those corners, choosing to run a little bit wide. Oops.
Hello. It's Olivier Pla. His teammate Piccioni is out of the race.
Owned by David Price, very experienced team owner.
He thought his fellow Frenchman Alex Premat had a good idea going off as often as he did.
Here's the two DAMS cars locked together in mortal combat.
Fardini and Pereira, as you see right there. The A in DAMS once stood for René Arnoux, Formula One great. He is no longer involved with the team, we understand.
Look at how the front of Monfordini's car is moving around. He's really struggling for grip. You would imagine that his teammate would be struggling for front-end grip, driving so close.
Yeah, right.
But it's Monfordini that's really struggling with the understeer now.
Which means his teammate is being held up badly at this time, probably. At least in the right numerical order.
Going to see how Olivier Pla goes off. Ooh.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, that was strange. Huge lockup. No doubt a function of the new rear wing arrangement. going to 2 elements rather than 3 and losing all that downforce.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing that they obviously don't have the downforce at the back on braking, which is why they've probably got so much brake on the front, which is why you're seeing so much brake dust from the front wheels, because they haven't got the downforce at the back. So they're trying to take braking off the back, and they're still weaving and wobbling their way into these corners on braking. Wow, look at the car there of the 15 car giving a big wobble.
It's Pereira. You also noticed on that scoreboard that
look how this other duo have caught him up too in the last couple of laps. These two really running off the pace now.
Primat is in 8th after those 2 off, so he may find himself on pole for the sprint edition here in Valencia.
And Negrão has really, and Carroll have really caught up with the 2 DAM's car. Look at this, right with them now. Just a couple of laps back, they were a long way back. Now they're right with him.
On board with the race leader. No problems.
That's the sort of track you like to see.
No exaggerated input, so it looks like his tires are in good shape.
Well, of course, he's been just on his own the whole time, so he's had very little aerodynamic problems with rough air, and just been able to set his own pace and really look after the whole car.
Oh, this is for position. Pereira and Manfredini. Pereira takes the spot. That's for 11th. Oh, that fight's not over.
Oh my gosh,
It's not.
Adam Carroll has gotten Negrão for 13th.
And now he'll be setting off in hot pursuit of these two, because Manfredini, who's now lost the ground to Pereira, is obviously off the pace, and Carroll is going to try and capitalize on that and get by him.
Oh. There's Carroll on Manfredini.
And around the outside is always a bit of a dodgy move, that.
Wheel to wheel.
He's got the line for the inside.
Oh, this is... Look at those tires too on Manfredini's car. That's why it's so slow.
That piece of wire at the right front suspension. What is that all about? Look at that.
Well, he's been off the road a couple of times, so obviously a bit of debris. It's in the cockpit.
Now it's in the cockpit with him.
Whoa!
Oh, he was touched. I thought for a second there the wiring had grabbed the steering wheel or something. So Negrão got into the back of Carroll.
Oh, what a day he's having. Awful day.
I just can't begin to imagine what that could be. I mean,
it's a bit of coiled wire of some sort.
It almost looks like a cord that's come out of a tyre or something, doesn't it?
Or baling wire
but
of
look
some
at the
kind.
car slide. It looks like a tyre that's inside a hose. You know, a big air hose of some sort. He's trying to get rid of it, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's in the cockpit with him. Now let's see what happened to him. Oh, his right rear and the left front.
Ooh.
Well, at least he wound up pointed in the right direction.
It looks like somebody's thrown a slinky in the car.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
It's fun. It's a wonderful toy.
As it happens to be in your right front suspension at a buck 30 or so. Now,
And that's Manfredini. No.
that's Timo Glock.
Black. Watch it, boys.
He's trying to get that wire out now.
Yes, good Lord. How long is it?
Is so odd.
Just let it go, Si. I'm scared of that wire. You don't want that in the car.
Well, exactly.
Well, a cheese wire like that,
It's like a Garrett.
you'll just chop your hand off.
Well, I don't like the way he's hanging on to there with the back, hanging around by the back wheel.
No. Oh, what is
Oh, more dirt in the air. This is Degrassi.
Degrassi, cutting Degrassi, but it's not grassy, it's gravelly.
Degrassi be in Degrasse. Come on.
In the Caribbean.
His bosses at Renault will say,
Tut, tut. Zut allure.
see what happened to Lucas. Well, just kind of ran out of road. Then he came back on and darn near took off Michael Ammermuller. Right there.
Yes, right there, Bob. You're right.
Well, at least he didn't lose way in that gravel, which of course is...
Meanwhile,
yeah. PK Jr.
PK Jr., who has had some very cold things to say about his peers from last year's GP2 series who went on to Formula One, specifically American Scott Speed, and who has set the bar, it must be said, in all fairness, very high for himself this year, that I must win this championship this year. That's all there is to it. Well, he has certainly come out and backed it up today.
He has.
With a dominating performance in the opening race of the series, he will start 8th on the grid for Sunday's sprint race. But given what he has shown today and the gap that he has forged over the rest of the field, Nelson Piquet Jr. will be a force to be reckoned with in 2006.
Well, it certainly looks up to be a classic year. We got him, we got Primat, who we know is good, we got Lapierre, who we know is good, and we got Lewis Hamilton, who looks like he's going to be very good.
Yeah.
Final turn. Checkered flag awaits, and there it is. As Nelson Piquet Jr. picks up the opening victory in the GP2 series for 2006.
Yeah, very, very good run.
It was.
He also took the point for fast lap and the 2 points for pole position, so that's maximum points for Piquet. There's the second place car of Lewis Hamilton, who came back from a terrible start. In third place, Adrian Baez, and that'll be a special podium for him here in his native Spain.
Oh, absolutely fantastic.
Nick Lapierre will pick up a few points in fourth for Arden. Behind him, Jose Maria Lopez in the Supernova car, the black with the yellow wings. Jimmy Bruni and Trident finishing 6th. Michael Ammermuller in 7th, and Ernesto Vizo finishes 8th, and thus will be the pole sitter for the sprint race here in Valencia. So Primat either slowed or went off again, who knows. He drops out of the points and will finish 9th. That's where he will start in the sprint.
And Diaz coming third there. It's going to be the first podium ever for Campos Racing, and of course a great drive by a Spanish driver, the best since Fernando Alonso.
First ever podium for Campos Racing, courtesy of Adrian Baez. We'll be back to hear from the top 3 finishers and the podium ceremonies. Valencia Spaniard Adrian Baez leaps to the podium in front of his countrymen and well ahead of the 2 men he will share it with. There's Lewis Hamilton. And there is our race winner, Nelson Piquet Jr. Time for the anthems. Whoops, well, that's the Cliff Notes version of the Brazilian anthem, and since both driver and team are from that country, apparently that's all the anthem we're going to get. Baez, no doubt the man of the hour in the eyes of the fans and the media, winning on home soil for a Spanish team.
Well, it was a pretty good run that he had. He qualified well and he raced well.
Interesting looking trophy. I'm trying to figure out what the design is. It's a bit like a helmet club. That can't be right, can it?
Good start for Lewis Hamilton as well.
And an especially good day for Nelson Piquet Jr.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who obviously would dearly love to follow in his father's footsteps and go into Formula One and, of course, win the World Championship. But he's going to have a tough year this year, I think. I mean, he had a great run today, there's no doubt about it. But Lewis Hamilton, Primat had a pretty dismal day. Nicolas Lapierre, I think, is going to be strong. But that was a very, very good start to the season. You know, getting away from that for Nelson Piquet Jr.
Well, the next track the GP2 series will visit is very different from Valencia. The Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari in Imola, Italy, along with the Formula One teams at the San Marino Grand Prix. We'll be back to hear from them. Welcome back. Fireworks explode over the Tormo circuit in Valencia for the first round of the GP2 championship. Let's head for the interview room.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the press conference for the feature race of GP2 season opener at Valencia. Fireworks for the opening round, and here we have our podium finishers. In third place, Adrian Baez of Campos Racing. Second place, Lewis Hamilton of ART Grand Prix. and our winner, Nelson Piquet Jr., PK Sports. Nelson, a fantastic start to the season, pole position and the first race win. You must be delighted.
Yeah, I'm really happy. It's a bit difficult with this noise, but no, I'm really happy. The team did an excellent job. Everything started as we wished, as we dreamed of. A pole position, a first win in the feature race, and I'm really, really, really happy. The team did an excellent job, and I think we just need to get better in every race, and I think it's going to be a very good year for us, hopefully.
There were some concerns prior to the race about how well the tyres would last. How hard was it in the second part?
It was really hard. The tyres really didn't last, and I had to pit in soon because some of the drivers pit in quite soon, and they were lapping quick. So I had to. The team called me in, and so I had to stay most of the race with the second set of tires. That was quite difficult, but no, we managed. We had a good gap, and everything worked out the way we wished.
Excellent. Well done. Lewis, second place. So a good result after what happened at the start. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, fantastic result. I don't know what happened at the start. Just when the lights went out, I thought I had the biting point on the clutch, and obviously not. And I just sat there, hitting the limiter, and didn't move. So eventually I got away, but I fell back. I don't know how far, but a lot of people came past me, and then it's impossible to overtake. The car was really good, and I was able to. I was quick, so I should have been able to overtake, but it's so difficult here. And I was a bit unfortunate when I came out the pits. I caught one of the back markers or one of the stower people, and I stuck behind him for quite a few laps. So I wasn't able to catch Alex and the guys in front. But as soon as he came in, it was on, and the car was great.
Excellent, well done. And Adrian, the first ever podium finish for Campos Racing. You must be very pleased to have secured that result in front of your home crowd.
Yeah, it's very important for me to do a podium here at home. I didn't thought I was going to be in the podium this race, but the team and me worked really hard to have a fast car, and at the end we were fourth in the qualifying. We were quite pleased, and I did a good start. I was second behind Nelson, but my rhythm at the beginning was a little bit slow with the same tires, and I think we stopped too late, and we were a bit slower than the art guy, so they overtook me, and I was fourth. But I saw Alex did a big mistake on the second corner, so I overtook him, and then I was third.
Well, congratulations once again, and thank you very much to all three of you.
Well, they do look young, don't they? How about a look at the final results? David, Steve?
They certainly are young. Nelson Piquet Jr., who's probably going to have a word by the Bridgestone management about that hat change. Lewis Hamilton from England coming second there. Adrian Valles looking very good there in front of his home crowd. Lapierre coming right through the field from way down on the grid. And then some of the old runners, Lopez, Bruni, Ammermuller looking very good. German's first race in that class.
And Pla there in 10th in the DPR. And then Monfordini was having that awful problem with understeer in the Dams car, finishing in 12th. Adam Carroll, Racing Engineering, in 14th. And your mate, Timo Glock, David.
Yes, he'll be after me soon. There you see the rest of the runners from 19th to 26th. None of these guys finished the race. There's the second Campos car down there.
Now, because we're coming to you tape delayed, we have the opportunity to bring you highlights of the sprint race. It started with confusion over whether sticker tires could be used. After a lot of discussion, it was determined the field would take an extra formation lap to scrub in the rubber.
Ernest Fizo on the pole on the left there, but look at the start from Michael Ammermuller alongside him. Whistles around him going out to turn one, and stays, as you can see, cars darting everywhere there. Look at Nelson Piquet in that blue car on the inside. You see him picking up another spot down into turn two. Inside, a good move there. Really, really well done there by Nelson Piquet. On board with him now. Picks off the first three cars right there at the start line. Down to turn one.
Now 3 laps in, and Alex Premat's having problems after bumping wheels. With Valles, he'll pull into the pits. There he goes. And it'll be game over for him for that day. And here's something that made everyone nervous. Monfordini having problems with the engine, and of course all the guys are in exactly the same spec 4-litre engine, so everyone concerned over that.
Now, here's how you want to make your passes. Lewis Hamilton sets up Jose Maria Lopez to the outside, then ducks underneath to take over 8th spot. Now on board with Adam Carroll as Hamilton takes 7th, and a lap later he'll make quick work of Adrian Valles. right there to take 6th and move into the points.
Boy, this was a fairly brave move there. His left wheel's right just off the grass there.
Now here's how you do not want to do it. Adam Carroll behind Baez for 7th. Baez breaks a little early, and Carroll goes for one wild ride.
Boy, oh boy, just look at this car disintegrate around him, and then luckily it ends right side up. But what a mess. Here you see it on board from Carroll's perspective.
Wow.
God.
Hands off the wheel, just as a good driver should. Here's what Baez saw as Carroll came over his bow. Well, believe it or not, Adam was okay. In fact, when he got back to his garage, had another look at it with the team.
He's loving it.
Yeah.
Well, what else are you going to do?
Meanwhile, up front, no dramas for Michael Ammermuller. The young German cruises to his first GP2 victory in only his 2nd career start. Fast lap set by Andreas Zuber, but because he started from the pit lane, it's a new rule this year. He does not get the fast lap point. Nelson Piquet Jr. set the 2nd fastest lap, thus he picked up yet another point.
There you see the rest of the runners. 4Z, who gave Adam Carroll so much stick in that first race. Tristan Gomdi, who dropped out of the first race. Yoshimoto, who dropped out of the first race. Zuber there. Adam Carroll, who, of course, we saw what happened to him.
Not a good weekend for Alex Primet at all. 22nd. Here's the driver championship points.
Nelson Piquet leading with 16 points with those extra points for pole and fastest lap. Nicolas Lapierre 2nd, having made a start from 14th. Lewis Hamilton with 9 there, having had a great race in the first race, but not quite so good in the afternoon. Michael Ammermuller, a great run in the sprint races.
And like Formula One, there is a team championship, and here's how they stand.
Arden International out there in front with 18, just 2 points behind PK Sport on 16. A little bit further down in third space, Art Grand Prix ART with 9, and then the points start to drop off. Supernova International down there with 4.
And that'll wrap things up from the opening weekend of the GP2 season from Valencia. But join us again tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern Time for main race coverage from the 2nd stop on the calendar, Imola, Italy, and the San Marino Grand Prix. For David Hobbs, Steve Matchett, I'm Bob Varsha. We'll see you tomorrow for the GP2 main event from Imola in Italy. So long, everyone.